Just a few days before the January 6th anniversary of the attack on our Capitol, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer sent a letter to his Senate colleagues drawing a direct link between the need for voting reform and last year's siege at the Capitol. Schumer says the Senate will vote on a rules change on or before January 17th, considering whether or not the filibuster should be abolished if voting reform continues to stall. Because, in his words, quote, January 6th was a symptom of a broader illness, an effort to delegitimize our election process. ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas spoke with Capitol Police Chief Tom Manger about how he's preparing for Thursday's anniversary. Take a listen.
What's the current threat environment as we approach January 6th? And do you see any scenario where you're going to need to put fencing back up?
So we made a decision to put the fence up on September for the Justice for J6 rally on September 18th. We did it more. I didn't really think that we would need it. There's always a chance, but I did it more as a practice exercise than anything else. I was told that we could put that fence up in 24 hours. And I wanted to test that. And so, in fact, it did go up in 24 hours, and then it came down within 24 hours. And so I'm going to be very judicious about recommending that we put the fence up for anything. There's nothing that I'm hearing now that of concern. There's of course, a lot of chatter about January 6th. But so far, I'm not aware of any big demonstrations that are going to be here. Now, that could change between now and then. But right now, I'm hoping for a peaceful week that week, and my hope is that whatever does happen, we'll certainly be ready for it.
So bottom line, you can get it up in 24 hours. If you need it, you hopefully won't need it.
That's correct.
And Pierre Thomas joins us now with more on this. Pierre, good to see you. Happy New Year. And let me ask you, this is such a divided country, but one unanimous opinion, it seemed, in the country about January 6th was the question, the shocked question on everybody's mind. How could this happen? In your conversation with Capitol Police Chief, what did he tell you about the deterrence that they found helpful as they work to prevent something like this from happening again?
Well, one thing that he was very candid about, Terry, is that he said that the department and the local governments let down the Capitol Police who were working that day. Bottom line, they did not have enough training, they did not have enough people, they did not have enough equipment to deal with the onslaught that came before them. And I think right now they are not seeing any specific threat, but we just got a bit of information from the Department of Homeland Security expressing concern that the same conditions and the same attitudes about potential violence because of conspiracies about the election lie and all those different things still exist, and therefore they're telling law enforcement officials to be on alert.
So, Pierre, ABC's new poll with Ipsos shows that more than 70% of Americans believe that that riot was a threat to our democracy. And most of them believe that former President Donald Trump bears a share of that blame. Most elected Republicans, with a few notable exceptions, have actually downplayed the insurrection, as you know, comparing the rioters to visiting tourists. So do you have any sense of how Capitol Police feel about that?
Well, based on my conversation with the police chief and also just conversations with some of the officers who worked that particular day, they would say any suggestion that this was peaceful in any way is a lie. A lie. Because they were beaten, they were battered. We have video of cattle prods being used. Officers were severely injured. And right now we have the data that apparently at least 140 officers were injured that day. And to date, the FBI is still looking for about 350 people who committed acts of violence on the Capitol. And there are about 250 of those, of that 350 number, that assaulted police.
It was a violent day for all of us, but the police there at the tip of the spear and receiving the brunt of the attack. What's the healing process been like? Not just for the Capitol Police, but also for Washington, D.C., the city where we live, also traumatized. 1 year after the insurrection, how do you measure that? How do you see that?
Well, the chief, Terry, talked about the fact that many of the officers are still healing, both physically and emotionally. You have to think about this. They've documented more than 800 people went into that building. They've already charged in excess of 600 people. And they're still, as I said, looking for another 350 people who committed acts of violence. So from the officers I talked to, they were shocked at the level of privilege that some of these people felt, that they could do what they did. They were shocked at the sheer level of the violence that was brought forth against them. And some of them, as you know, I interviewed Harry Dunn, who's one of the Capitol Police officers, were called the N-word multiple times. So in terms of the democracy that we hold dear, have a Confederate flag flowing through that building, to have the N-word being used, to have these officers being beaten and pushed, all you have to do is just look at the video. So this notion, when I talk to these officers, they're incredulous. They're frustrated. They're angry at the notion that anyone would look at the videos that we've all seen and to downplay this.
You know, Pierre, the chief also did bring up with you the staffing issues that the USCP is still experiencing, saying that they're 400 people down from where they should be. So what do you think? Are there any plans to address that? And is there confidence, specifically from the chief there, that the Capitol can be protected even with those staffing shortages?
Well, this is how he defined that situation. Number one, he says that they have enough people and equipment to repel any such attack, any level of attack like that. He believes that they can. The issue with the staffing is that they can't give these people days off. They have to have a certain level of staffing to be able to do what I just described, to be able to protect that building against any kind of massive assault. But because they're down these people and they've not been able to hire the replacements yet, there's a sense of fatigue, and how long can they keep having people working these long stretches without days off? That's the issue going forward. But again, right now they say if any such level attack came, they could deal with it. But long term, they're working these people because they're down so many different bodies. They are planning to hire more people. They have the money to do so. It's just the process of getting those hires and training the people to take their positions.
Because one of the malignant effects of this attack is the sense that it happened once, it could happen again. Pierre Thomas, thanks very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.